Welcome to Quick Stop F1. My name is Nyasha, and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. And welcome to Nyasha's Notebook, the show where we break down the latest F1 session, just like Ted's Notebook, 50% less facts, 50% more park and natural habitat. So Suzuka qualifying, in the words of Australian pop royalty Kylie Minogue, Max Verstappen, wow. Quite the discussion going on Twitter at the moment about Max's lap. And I've got some thoughts. And my thoughts are this. Max Verstappen, by the way, was first. Obviously, Yuki Tsunoda in 14th, and we'll come to Yuki shortly. But what do I say about Max Verstappen on this channel? I think I've said it literally every race this season. What do I say about Max? Max Verstappen is inevitable. In fact, what I will say about Max is pretty much like fucking Thanos, bro. And some of you may read that or listen to that and think, what? Why would you liken Max Verstappen to Thanos? That's a bad guy. And someone's playing cricket and nearly took my fucking head off. Why would you liken Max Verstappen to Thanos? The reason I really like Max Verstappen to Thanos is because he is the pantomime villain. We've had people comment on our channel say, why don't we show Max some love instead of making fun of the fact he gets booed? He's there to get booed, okay? Why? Because he's a pantomime villain. He revels in it. And it's not a bad thing. Lewis was that at one point. Sebastian Vettel was that at one point. In fact, I'd argue if you're not being booed in F1, you're not doing something right, in all honesty. But nevertheless, why is Max Verstappen like Thanos? Because he's inevitable. Run from him, hide from him. He will arrive all the same. Max Verstappen is absolutely ridiculous. Like, he should not have been on pole today. And I think my reason for saying this is probably different to other people's reasons for saying this. He shouldn't have been on pole today because there are 3 drivers who should have qualified in front of him today. 2 McLarens, 1 Mercedes. By all intents and purposes, should have qualified ahead of Max Verstappen today. But they didn't. They fucked up their laps. Do you know who didn't fuck up their lap? Max Verstappen. Because he never fucks up his lap. When's the last time you've seen Max Verstappen fuck up a lap? Saudi? Like, when was that? 4 years ago. It's ridiculous. And yes, he has the car to do it. I'm not going to get into this fucking business of you not saying this car's a tractor. He's finished 2nd, 3rd and 4th maybe? I can't remember what his finishing positions were. But this is a car which is comfortably in the top 2 or 3 cars, right? Which means that he'll be in and around where he needs to be. But what separates him, and this is where the narrative for me, I kind of, I don't enjoy it, is when we try and make it out like Max Verstappen is pushing this fucking car along with his feet like he's Fred Flintstone. Okay? Like, because it's not that. Let's not demean the work that the guys at Red Bull are doing. Is he extracting the most from his car? Unbelievably so, yes. Is his car the fastest on the grid right now? I don't think it is. That's where the greatness is. The greatness isn't in the fact that he's somehow hauling a car which is the fucking 7th best car into first. No, that's not where the greatness is. The greatness is in the fine details. The greatness is in the fine margins. That's where Verstappen operates. That's where he's excelling at. And that's what he did today. By all intents and purposes, Lando Norris should have been on pole position today. Oscar Piastri should have been on pole position today. George Russell probably could have been on pole position today. All three of them messed up. Whether it's their teams, whether it's them, they messed up. And Max Verstappen didn't. And that's why he's first. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Living through history means that sometimes you have to live through good history and bad history. And just because you don't like it doesn't mean you don't have to acknowledge it. And I'm going to acknowledge it. And I know some people on this channel aren't going to like that. But that's just what I saw. It was a good fucking lap. Now, do I think it's up there with the Monaco lap? I don't think so. Do I think it's up there with the fucking Saudi lap that never was? Yeah, I think it's better than that lap because he fucking finished it. But, nevertheless, you have to say well done to Max. First place in qualifying. Do I think he's going to win the race tomorrow? I don't know. I don't think he will. He shouldn't if McLaren have anything about them. But, nevertheless, we will see. And I think this is the thing that I just want to say. Like, if McLaren are going to win the world title this year, these drivers need to fix up. And we could say all year long, oh, it's going to be a McLaren. McLaren have got a rocket ship. It's no use having a fucking rocket ship if you're not going to do anything about it. Do you know who did something about having a rocket ship? Lewis fucking Hamilton. And he dealt with that rocket ship and he got into that Mercedes and he won title after title after title after title. He fucking done it. Max Verstappen, title after title. Seb Vettel, title after title. Michael Schumacher, title after title. This is what the greats do. And this is what McLaren need to do. But if they don't do that, they're going to be forever some also-rans. Lando Norris, step up. Do you want to be Lando Norris, world champion? Or do you want to be Lando Norris, David Coulthard, like, do you know what I mean? What do you want? Do you want to be Mika or do you want to be David? Because what you're doing right now in that McLaren car ain't making sense, bro. It's not making sense, bro. And I just, like, for me, we'll get onto McLaren in a bit in terms of where they did, what they performed and so forth. But it's days like today which make you realise that McLaren, those two drivers, might not be ready. Because what happens when a driver is ready? He does what Max did today. He does what Lewis did last week. One shot, one kill. If you've got an opportunity, you fucking take it with both fucking hands. Anyway, Max Verstappen first. Yuki Tsunoda 14th. Some idiot on the quick stop page tweeted out, what did they tweet? Oh yeah, they asked what were we gonna do if Liam Lawson out-qualifies Yuki Tsunoda, and then posted the Kanye West gif. I guess we'll never know because he did really well in Q1, only to then be out-qualified by Liam Lawson in Q2. Who did that? What a fucking idiot. It's so bright out here today. I would say this. On Yuki Tsunoda, congratulations to the move to Red Bull. I think we're seeing... I actually think that he probably could have got into Q3 today. I think he had an issue. He had a small mistake on his final lap, which basically cost him in turn 1 and in turn 2, and basically compromised his whole day, his whole run after that. And obviously after that, you know, you're just trying to catch time. And we've seen that from Isaac Hadjar's performance, that the B-Cub is a great car to drive, easy car to drive. So I think the pace for Yuki is there with him being so close to Max in Q1. What it will be about for him now is putting it together over the course of a Saturday. It'll be interesting to see Yuki in race trim bring that car forward, hopefully into the points. But tough day for Yuki Tsunoda in 14th place. Obviously, he went up a place for Carlos Sainz's penalty. Liam Lawson we'll get to shortly. But yeah. Yeah, that's Red Bull. McLaren, Lando Norris, second, Oscar Piastri third. 0.012 Lando was behind Max Verstappen. Might as well be 4/10, might as well be 5/10. Don't give a fuck. They need to sort it out. They need to sort it out. Because if they don't sort it out, what's going to happen is those two are going to take points off each other. And when they do, someone like Verstappen, someone like Russell, who doesn't have any team teammates who really are going to oppose them, potentially, they're going to take this title. And it is, quite frankly, I think, sorry, just going to change my hand. I think it's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous that McLaren haven't stuck this car on pole, in all honesty. But again, this is what I mean. And when I talk about like Max's greatness, it's almost to highlight Lando's lack of it. And it pisses me off because he's got it. Within Lando Norris is a driver who is capable of beating anyone on his fucking day. And you've got a big boy contract. You're getting paid the big boy bucks. And it's just not connecting. I don't care if the car is difficult to drive. I don't care if the car has a small operating window. You've got to step up. And it just feels as if Lando, when the car isn't easy to drive, you just see him make these mad mistakes. Running wide, hitting the gravel. These aren't things that, you want a championship level driver to do. And that's the frustration. I don't want to be on this channel saying nice things about Max. Everyone knows that. But I'm being forced to. Why? Because McLaren are not stepping the fuck up. That's the issue. That's the fucking issue. And it's just, it's annoying. Because it's there for them. They can do it if they want to do it, but they're not doing it because they don't have the cojones, man. Where are the cojones? I want to see papaya cojones, man. And I think that's the issue. Balls. Men. Real men. Where are the men in that team? No, but in all seriousness, we just need to see more from the McLaren boys. But we'll probably see it tomorrow, right? They've got a rocket ship. Well, it's dark here, isn't it? Should probably go into the light. They've got a rocket ship, and they'll probably be able to get Max at some point, whether that's on an undercut or overcut. It's difficult to overtake, but it feels as if Red Bull's tyre management, as we saw in China, might not be at the level that they really want it to be. So let's see. Let's see. But interesting for McLaren. At this point, we're going to take a break. And after the break, we'll discuss Lewis, Ferrari, and a disappointing day, I guess. Is back after the break. Welcome back. This is Nyasha's Notebook, the show where we break down the latest session from the F1 season. Today we're looking at the Japanese Grand Prix qualifying, and Ferrari. Charles Leclerc qualified in 4th place. Lewis Hamilton 8th. Lewis Hamilton saying that they went a different way. with their setup, and that Charles went one way, Lewis went another, and that's what caused the discrepancy in their performance. And tough day. Tough day at the office. I think that these days were going to happen, right? It's not as if you were on your channel jumping up and down, doing all kinds of fucking gunshot sounds and shouting and screaming and saying, "Oh, Lewis Hamilton's the best. We're back. We're back." You know, imagine if you'd done that. That would be somewhat embarrassing. So luckily you haven't done that. You haven't gone too early. But in all seriousness, what can you do? You know, I think we're expecting days like this, right? Like we're expecting days like this where Lewis Hamilton would be almost not at one with this car, right? And I think the best thing that he can do tomorrow is hope for the rain that they said is on the way at the start tomorrow. And if it's changeable conditions, you would expect that Lewis Hamilton would be able to do quite well in that. But disappointing, Charles Leclerc in fourth. Charles Leclerc saying that they're just not getting any sort of performance out of the car, which is probably more worrying than, you know, them saying we just don't know how to unlock performance. They literally just don't know where the performance is. And I think that is something that, you know, you probably look at as a Ferrari fan, as a Lewis fan, and you do worry. But it was never really about this season if we're talking championship and so forth. But nevertheless, not a good showing for Ferrari. And so we'll see tomorrow how that goes. Mercedes, George Russell in fifth, Kimi Antonelli in sixth. George Russell is in a funny situation this year in that he is contract year, a lot of noises around, you know, I'm in no rush to sign. We're in no rush to discuss. It feels very much how Lewis and Mercedes used to talk about their contracts. And, you know, if you remember, I feel about 4 or 5 of those new Mercedes contracts with Lewis were done quite casually, you know. So with no real kind of like fanfare until they were signed. So on one hand, that could represent an extreme level of comfort with George, with Mercedes. So you definitely want to think that. However, is George hedging his bets? Does George see potential moves on the horizon if Max was to leave? If Max was to leave Red Bull and he was to go to, do Mercedes, are Mercedes going to look at him there? Does George fancy a go at that Red Bull? Who knows? Does George fancy? I don't know. But if George wants to be a world champion, he almost has to see this season the same way Fernando Alonso was probably looking at 2010, 2012, in that he doesn't have the fastest car and he's not going to be always fighting for race wins. But when he has the opportunities, he has to be a killer. And sometimes it's all good being Mr. Consistent, getting the car into third, getting the car into fourth, all of those things there. Yeah, that's fine. I've never seen a team celebrate someone get top 5 finishes so much. I never realized top 5 finishes was such a thing to celebrate. But Mercedes seem to want to tell us every 2 minutes that George Russell has had a lot of top 5 finishes. Okay, top 5 finishes don't win you world championships. You know what does win you world championships? Pole positions, snatching them out of the back, the same way Max Verstappen does today. George needs to do that, especially if you are Mr. Saturday, And I just think today was a missed opportunity. Again, this is not to put down Max, but it's just to highlight this is what Max does. He maximizes his machinery. The machinery is not a fucking Flintstone car. It is not a tractor. It's a very capable car that's difficult to drive, which he is managing to do. Well done to Max. George, you need to do better. 5th place is good, could be better. Antonelli, what more can you say? 6th place, neat and tidy, great final sector. If you have time, go and check out Kimi Antonelli's final sector in that Mercedes around Suzuka. Absolutely awesome. On to V-Carb, Isaac Hadjar. Wowee. Well, apologies for that. Isaac Hadjar. I mean, imagine driving around and your seatbelt is essentially chopping your dick off. That's what my Algerian African brother had to deal with. Isaac, I am so sorry, brother. I am so sorry. But what a guy. What a guy. What a rookie. 7th place. He's already redeemed himself from Melbourne and the tears and all of that. We don't even think about that anymore. He's not let it define him. And I think that's one thing that you've got to love about Isaac. You know, underneath what seems like quite a, you know, he's quite a, out of the car, you can imagine him to be quite demure. He seems quite shy, but there's a steeliness to him and there's a determination. And he said, I can't, that Q1 lap was one of the best laps I've ever driven in my life. And I think that's pretty cool from Isaac to say that. So considering his seatbelt situation. Williams of what? Oh my god, I'm already moving on. Liam Lawson again managed to qualify. That says 13th, obviously upper place. Yeah, fair play to him. You know, like out qualified Yuki, still getting used to the car. I think that's a decent performance from Liam. And let's see where it goes tomorrow. Alex Albon in 9th place, another Q3, absolutely wiping the floor with Carlos Sainz. They said he was going to get mopped up. They said he was going to get, oh my god, brutalized by Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz is walking around getting fucking penalties for holding up Lewis Hamilton. 3-place group penalty. And it kind of sums up Carlos's start at Williams. He's really not enjoying life there. And if anyone thought that Carlos Sainz was going to make a quick pit stop to Williams, dust Albon down, and then see what top cars are available in 2026, I think we can all agree that's not going to happen. He needs to get on top of that Williams car. Alex Albon has absolutely gone to town on Carlos Sainz. And just put in some really solid performances. And I think that's a really good performance there from Alex Albon in 9th place. Haas, Ollie Bearman. What a guy. P10, ciao. Great performance from Ollie. I mean, 0.4. His lap time was quicker than Esteban Ocon in Q1. Esty Bestie, that's not good. And they're both. I guess Ollie has driven that car before, but only once. And Esty Bestie, that's not good. So you'd be expecting more from Ocon there. So yeah, very interesting to see. But well done to Ollie Bearman in 10th place. Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso in 12th. Again, upper place from Carlos Sainz. Lance Stroll last. Lance Stroll is like one of those, when girls say they don't like telling people about boys they're seeing because they get embarrassed like as soon as they do. That's when it started defending Lance Stroll. Every time I say he's a competent driver, he does some shit like this. What the fuck, Lance? Last. I'm not even going to discuss that any further. And then you have Sauber, Nico Hulkenberg in 16th, Gabriel Bortoleto in 17th. Nico Hulkenberg unhappy with how they sent him out in Q1, which resulted in him going out in Q1. Which brings us to Alpine. Pierre Gasly in 11th. Jack Doohan. But Jack Doohan, are you asking to get fired? I swear, are you going up to Flavio Briatore and saying, I dare you, I double dare you to sack me. Please, Flavio, sack me. I don't want a job. Put Franco in the car. I beg. Because what the actual fuck? Jack Doohan, FP1, if you missed it, massive crash. I mean, an absolute, probably the biggest shunt of the season. Definitely, the car's in fucking pieces. Massive crash. Turn 1, Suzuka. First and foremost, thank God he's okay. Secondly, my God, it's almost as if the reason for the crash is because Jack, in the simulator, had noticed that he could keep his DRS on in turn 1 and thought, okay, I'm going to do that in real life. And so he thought going into a quick right-hander with less downforce would be like his cheat code that no one else has figured out. No one else has thought, wow, I'm going to go through here with my DRS open. Oh, look at this extra speed. Worked on the computer. Must work here. What a fucking dickhead. Also, though, apologies. Also, who in the team grassed him up on that? So for that information to come out, he must have told someone that. And then someone from the team has leaked that to the press. That's so bad mind, because it just makes him look like a fucking idiot. And which he is. What an idiot. And look, Jack's doing no comment to all of the reporters, which he should be doing. I give him, honestly, I think they'll give him till summer. And I think they'll do a gentleman's swap. A gentleman's swap in summer. And honestly, he's asking for it. Before I felt a bit bad for him. Now I'm just like, you know what? You are asking for it, bro. You're asking for it. Right, that's it for today. Sorry, I've been ill this week, so apologies for the lack of content. My voice is like the most I've spoken for a week. I've been in bed all week, so thank you for watching. Sorry for the lack of content, but hopefully feeling a bit better now, so we'll go from there. We'll be back with the podcast, obviously, and a notebook tomorrow, and then obviously Barry will be back to bring you all the F1 news next week. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe if you've stayed this far, and remember, as always, keep it on the black stuff. Until next time, toodle pip.